Alrighty. Here we go. Let's go live here. Let's go live on this, if possible. Oh, yeah. Here we go. And we're off. On Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. I'm waiting for the day they connect this to Threads. That'll be really fun for me specifically. All right. Welcome to Big Nick Energy. I'm Joe Yolk. I'm not Mill Media, not Modelo. And if you wanted either of them, I'm sorry. But what I am doing today is crapping on Gil Arenas. Because Gilbert Arenas has found out that Knicks for clicks works out magnificently well if you're not a Knicks fan. And if you're Stephen A. Smith, even if you are a Knicks fan, it still works out really well. As you can see, I'm sharing my screen right here. We got Gil's good old YouTube page up. And this guy who has decided that very recently is going to start talking about the New York Knicks started with 3 videos in the past 5-10 days. Where's the first one? It was the trade. Knicks, there we go. 6 days ago, Gilbert Arenas rips into the New York Knicks. I watched this one. I don't even want to watch the other two. One of them's a 1 minute short about Trae Young. We'll get to that one last. So Gilbert Arenas, for anyone that doesn't know, that's younger than me, played basketball for quite a while in the mid-2000s. He was actually really good at one point. Here, I'm going to bring up his basketball reference page as well for you, just so you can actually check out the stats that good old Agent Zero Hibachi had back in the day. And they were pretty good, man. This dude was a pretty good basketball player, really good point guard, large for his size, 6'4". He was a monster for a short time. Injuries kind of got him, and then his biggest downfall, which we'll get to in a little bit, involved a gun in the locker room, in case you've never heard that story. That's also entertaining. Let's keep this there. Okay, so as you can see, Gilbert Arenas, these 3 stars in the very, very corner of the screen. He made the All-Star team when he was 25, 26, 27. Or 24, 25, 26. 20, there we go. 23 to 25. He made it really young. Second-round pick when he was 20 years old. Whole shebang. This dude scored 30 points a game one year. He scored over 28 2 other times. 29, 28, 25. These are the 3 All-Star years right here. So what we're looking at is a really good player. This guy thinks that the craziest thing this dude said in the past couple of weeks was, number 1 is Rafer Alston should have been drafted by the New York Knicks, which, God bless Skip to My Lou, man. I watched more highlights of Skip to My Lou. That was his nickname when he was on the And1 mixtape tour. Watched more highlights of this guy from And1. Didn't even watch him in the NBA. Averaged 10 points a game. Played in China at the beginning and end of his career. He didn't start playing in the NBA until he was 26, 27 years old. Look up Rafer Alston. Not a guy that you're going to be like, the Knicks should have drafted with the 10th overall pick, wherever the hell he felt like saying. I'm so dumb. So weird. Hyundai's trying to break into the podcast. There we go. So weird of a thing to say. And then this dude thinks that the Knicks should also get Trae Young, which I don't know if we've all been talking about DeJounte Murray and Jalen Brunson potentially being on the same team, but DeJounte Murray and Trae Young are currently on the same team. And that doesn't work. Trae Young is the worst defender in the NBA. He is a walking traffic cone. I don't think he even cares. He's out there to put on a show. I don't want him on the team. To say the Knicks need Trae Young because he's willing to play in New York and has a New York attitude. Trae Young's only New York attitude is that he's going to get his head shaved down an alleyway if he ever tried to play in New York. This dude's not welcome, man. He's not welcome in Dykeman. Look at our tweets. Look at our posts. Not welcome there. Speaking of us, buy some merch. This is a really cool hat. Love some Big Nick Energy merch. The hats are the best. I have this awesome Big Ragu shirt in case you love some Dante DiVincenzo. If your mom makes some good pasta, hopefully it's better than Ragu. You know what I mean. But dude, no to Trae Young, no to Rafer Alston. And to say the Knicks lost the trade. The reason why I have Gil's stats up here, and the reason why he thinks the Knicks got fleeced. This dude was known to be a scorer. He's an offensive-minded player. Let's go down a little bit. I know advanced stats suck. No one's a fan of advanced stats. But they tell a little bit of a story because they try to capture some defensive stuff once in a while. In the NBA 15 years ago, they didn't have defensive ratings this high unless you were bad at defense. They gave up less points per game. It was until the Warriors started putting up about 20 that everyone in the league now averages 112 or 115. These were bad. He was great offensively, as you can tell, for a very short time, got injured, and that was it. These are all bad. You want to know what else would happen with Gilbert Arenas and why he wouldn't know that the Knicks already have a star and Jalen Brunson, a better than you ever were in the playoffs star and Jalen Brunson? Vin says I'm lagging. I don't know. I can't really do much about that with all the videos I have up. Knicks for clicks. Exactly. Exactly. There we go. Let's keep that one up right there. Gilbert Arenas won one playoff series in his whole career. One single playoff series he played 10 games in. Everything else, his team lost in the first round. If I was Gilbert Arenas, I wouldn't be saying the Knicks need another star. That's for sure. I wouldn't say the Knicks need another star. I wouldn't say the Knicks are needing Trae Young or anything like that. I would probably shut up and stop using Knicks for clicks personally, because you don't watch this team. Most guys don't. National media, you watch what's on national TV. If I'm Gilbert Arenas, I'm assuming he's actually not watching a lot of games. Straight up. Why would he? He's rich. He does this podcast in his leisurely time. He just gets to say the most outlandish, crappy shit on camera in front of really, really good cameras. He's not lagging on a MacBook like I am right now. That's for sure. And then he just gets 1,000 views. Look at how many views this guy gets. 143K for ripping into the Knicks. Look at the rest of them. They're not even, a lot of them aren't that high. 30K. Gilbert Arenas wants the naysayers to know. 30K. Oh, that's from the guy that almost, it sounded like he's going to say that word. Everyone donate to Joe so you can buy a new MacBook. We don't have super chats, Finn. What would Gilbert Arenas do if he lost to by 100? 24K. 91K. Talking about Kobe, it's less views. Wow. People love Vince Carter, apparently, which Vince had a great career. Good for him. He played for like 12 teams, so that makes sense. But most of these are way less. Or he has to mention LeBron James. There you go. It's actually, what's funny is that he's probably gained like 15,000, 20,000 followers since the Knicks thing. Now let's go to this stupid short. Let's check out what this dumb thing looks like. I need a new MacBook. That's why it's so slow. Remember? Here. In case anyone wants to help me out. Nope. He has an old hoop mentality. Exactly. Trae Young to the Knicks. I don't have to actually play the audio to this, but you guys can watch and follow along because it has captions, so you'll just be able to watch what's happening. Assuming it loads up. If it doesn't load up, then I don't know what to tell you. Here we go. The guarding killer. They would love him too. No, they wouldn't. He's not the perfect player. This is bullshit. What is this? He has the New York snubby FU attitude, dude. No one on the New York Knicks wants Trae Young. You know why Gilbert Arenas likes Trae Young? Because he plays more like Gilbert Arenas than Jalen Brunson does. And Gilbert Arenas would have lost to Jalen Brunson 100 times out of 100 if they were both leading a team in a playoff series. Facts. I don't care if Gilbert Arenas would have scored 3 or 4 more points per game. It would have been less efficient, and he would have been trash. They would thrive with him. He would be Jeremy Lin and Melo together. What is this dude even saying? If this isn't Knicks for clicks, I don't know what is. That even goes for us, too, for Big Nick Energy. We got to stop posting this guy. This is giving him the media fodder that he's clearly saying. And who's on this show? Who else is on this show with him that's not telling him to shut up and stop saying outlandish crap? Seriously. Like, what is this dude even saying or doing? No one really knows. Let's see what, by the way, anyone that's watching on Instagram, if you go to YouTube, I can actually see your comments and videos there. It never It like I have to actually scroll back and forth to actually look at these. Let's see what some people said though. Josh Mansell, Gilbert Arenas has no idea what he's saying. Jalen Green is a star. Come on. Oh, that was the other thing. I forgot. This man said that the Knicks need a star like Anthony Edwards. That makes a lot of sense. Or Jalen Green. Jalen Green isn't even the best young player on his team. It's Alperen Sengun. I bet you Gilbert Arenas would never say the Knicks need a star like Alperen Sengun. I'm just throwing it out there. Something tells me he's not vouching for a Turkish all-star or Turkish superstar anytime soon. Nick Nation's not even thinking about Trae Young. Big task at hand. Exactly. Why the hell would we? Why would we think of this guy? Look, dude, shave your head, man. I got to tell you, shave your head. Then there's no shot you're in this video. Thank God. Thank goodness Gilbert is not the GM or president of the New York Knicks. I got to say, man, by the way, big task at hand, great comment. I don't think a lot of players, especially like good ones, for a lot of sports, not even just like Gilbert Arenas or just basketball players or anything. I think a lot of players that are good aren't actually good at evaluating talent. They didn't really have to be. That's not your job. Your job is to be good at the game, good with the ball in your hands. Like Landry Fields is a GM. That dude's smart. He wasn't the best at actually playing in the NBA. His best year was his rookie year, as we all remember as Knicks fans. Scrat Daniels, we got a good one coming up. Going to really like this one. Gilbert Arenas has worse takes than Kendrick Perkins. I didn't even know that was possible. I got to say, man, Scrat, if you're a Knicks fan, Kendrick Perkins might have the best takes out there. If you're just straight Homer Knicks fan, thinking that they're phenomenal, Kendrick Perkins for MVP, for media MVP, definitely ESPN MVP. Kendrick Perkins definitely watches more Knicks games than Gilbert Arenas or Stephen A. Smith does. That's for sure. For sure. I'm good on this guy, though. I don't know. If anyone wants to look up Gilbert Arenas' stats, it's even funnier if you look up Rafer Alston's stats after he brings up what the Knicks should have drafted Skip Tamilu. I think Skip Tamilu should have played for the Harlem Globetrotters more than he should have played in the NBA. And he was really fun to watch when I was 15 years old. Like the very, very, very beginning of YouTube, I used to watch And One mixtape on YouTube, and Skip Tamilu was front and center. So is the professor, who's now all over Facebook because, you know, as time goes on, we all advance into what our age bracket is. There we go. Exactly. Scrat Daniels, you also turned it around from one comment to the next. Kendrick Perkins definitely turned it around. My point exactly. Again, if you're watching on Instagram, feel free to come over to YouTube. If you're on Twitter, I can see your comments on here, but also come to YouTube. Every like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe helps us out little by little. And like Vin said before, if I get enough people to listen and watch, then I'll be able to buy a new computer. Because I own a house and I can't afford much with the bills I have. So here we are with this 2017 MacBook. All right, so let's get off Gil. Let's go to what my favorite topic always is when it comes to this time of year. We're talking trades, baby. Jay Boogie, what up? What up, what up? Shout out to the chat. Blessings, health, happiness, and happy 24. That like, salute, capital, 3 capitals. Exactly. Salute and like everything. Like and subscribe are the 2 biggest things. Like, share, subscribe are the 3 biggest things. Salute every chat you're ever in. All right, so let's go, though. Let's get some who wants to see some Malcolm Brogdon? I know you guys want Malcolm Brogdon on your team. I should start with DeJounte Murray. I'm going to be real. Let's get off the Safari because this is, I think, is what's lagging my computer. And let's get off of Gilbert Arenas. Goodbye, Gil. Hardly knew ye. I hardly knew ye like you don't know the Knicks at all. By the way, if you ever did like doing the trade machine stuff, Fanspo I think is by far the absolute best one. And it is because if it works or not, it actually literally tells you whether or not you can do the trade, and it gives you a great synopsis every single time. I don't know what the actual link is, so I have to go to this Fanspo trade. There we go. It tells you exactly what the link is. By the way, I did find out, in case anyone didn't know this, if the Knicks wanted to for any particular reason, they could in fact trade OG Anunoby or Precious Achiuwa or Malachi Flynn. I looked up that it turns out that there's a rule that if you have a recently acquired guy on your team for, I think, 2 months or 45 days or something, I don't know the length, but for a certain amount of time, that person can be traded in a 1-for-1 deal only. So I literally did it as an example. The Knicks could trade Precious Achiuwa for anyone in the league that makes around $4 million. Or they could trade Malachi Flynn for anyone in the league that makes, I think he might make $1 million more. I don't remember. Between $3 and $5 million, though. Or they could do the same thing with OG, but they have no reason to do that. I forgot the reason why I was on Safari originally is that this does not load on Firefox, which has got to be the most sad thing ever. Let's see if I can go to a different trade machine. Fanspo's the best, though. I'm sorry to all the other ones. You're second tier, especially ESPN, which apparently is the one I have to use now. Second tier, for sure. Second tier like Gilbert Arenas' takes. How to use the trade machine. Oh, thanks. Thank you for explaining it to me. Let's add New York. Let's add, definitely need a new computer. Let's add the team they play tonight, the good old Trail Blazers. And let's see, Malcolm Brogdon. We're making $22 million a year right now. 22 mil. What does that sound like? Everyone knows. That sounds like it's some Evan Fournier type-ish. And the Knicks have a $4 and a $5 million trade exception. So if they need to do it, which I don't think they will for this necessarily, they can do that. Look, it even says on the bottom, trade exceptions. It'll add it on its own. Oh, they also have a trade exception from trading us Josh Hart. Look at that. So this should definitely work. So one thing I don't like, I forgot why I don't like this on ESPN versus Fanspo. This doesn't actually let you pick draft picks. So realistically, for the Knicks to get Malcolm Brogdon in this trade, Evan Fournier is 100% a net negative asset. I hate to say it. I know people are like, why would anyone be a negative asset? That doesn't make sense in the NBA. An expiring salary is worth blah, blah, blah. An expiring salary is only worth a positive thing when you're trading for the Zach LaVines or Karl Anthony Towns of the world, when they're making over $40 million and the players you want to trade only make 25 combined. That is when you actually get to the point of being a useful thing for salary. Malcolm Brogdon, I believe, is repped by Clutch, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure all three of the guys that I want to trade for are repped by Clutch. I'm pretty sure all Malcolm Brogdon. Oh, look at that. Malcolm Brogdon's agent's Rich Paul. Unless that's old. Is this a newer one? He was at least repped by Rich Paul at some point. I don't know. It says he's repped by Rich Paul. I'm going to assume that based on that. Jordan Clarkson, also, I believe, repped by Rich Paul. Hey, Vin, by the way, if you want to send me a computer, which I thought you were going to, I will gladly take it. Yep, there we go. Jordan Clarkson also repped by Clutch. And then we all know DeJounte Murray is also repped by Clutch. Almighty Finesse, what's good? Welcome to the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Again, everyone on Instagram, if you're watching, come over to YouTube. I'll be able to see your stuff. We'll try to scroll through this real quick. We got guns too. That's mad funny. Josh Mantel's takes are worse than Kendrick Perkins. That's even possible. Tech Pat NY, we need a bench again. Oh, I think you commented that twice. I do agree we need a bench, which is why I am on the trade machine. Let's try to get some bench guys. So yes, all three repped by CAA. Jordan Clarkson, Malcolm Brogdon, and DeJounte Murray. Jordan Clarkson also makes around the same amount of money as Malcolm Brogdon. He's also, I already looked at it. I'm not going to keep doing this. He makes around $22 million a year. So anything that involves Evan Fournier with these guys, it would work the same exact way. The trade would work 1-for-1. The thing is, obviously, the Knicks are going to have to include at least one of their protected picks. I would assume for either of these players, Brogdon or Clarkson, it would probably take one of the protected first and a second unprotected first. Or no, I mean, I'm sorry, a protected first and a second some way or another. Almighty Finesse, I'm telling you, we're going to get Sexton. I've been seeing quite a bit of Sexton and Terry Rozier recently from the rumor mill. I mean, again, these are all rumors. I think Jordan Clarkson is just a slightly better, more mature version of Colin Sexton. I wouldn't be against getting Colin Sexton. I just think Jordan Clarkson I know Jordan Clarkson has more playoff experience, and that's why he's the guy I want the most. But okay, Angelo, what do you think? In reality, I think we overdo the whole clutch beef thing. What do you think, Joe? Okay, so Sexton ain't bad at all. I agree. I mean, for years, they didn't really do too much. And the last time we had a guy on our team, Cam Reddish, he got benched, got demoted, didn't play, got to rot next to Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose on the bench. Vin, the fact that you always ask that we have merch, this whole thing says shop now at bignickenergy.com. It is everywhere, you clown. So I think that was already rough. It was pretty sour taste in his mouth. Nerlens Noel suing him, definitely a sour taste in his mouth. And I don't know, man. I don't like. We're not ever behind closed doors. How many things do they really report on? Reporters are even like the people in the media are rep by either Clutch or CAA for a lot. As we all know, Woj is CAA, Shams is Clutch, and yeah, because of that, it's like how much do you really get out of one side or the other? What the truth is? How much of it really actually happened or occurred because of LeBron, like the signing of LeBron James, and then LeBron James and Clutch or Rich Paul leaving CAA in the first place? Like, it could be a 10-year-old bitter rivalry. It could be just the last 5 years. Is it overblown? I don't know if it's overblown. I'm hoping it comes to an end. That's it. That's all I'm having. That's all I'm thinking. I'm just thinking we were like suing the Raptors and still made a deal with them. That is a good point. I do think Rich Paul is a little more of a not vindictive. I feel like he would hold a grudge a little more than the Raptors owner would versus Masai. Scott Daniels, would you rather DeJounte Murray or Brogdon for sure? So if I was to pick between, I would want DeJounte Murray the most. He's the best player. I know there's a lot of contrasting things about what he fits on the team, when he take the ball out of Brunson's hands, yada, yada, yada. He is better at basketball than Dante DiVincenzo. Hard stop. He's worse at shooting, for sure. He would affect the spacing a little bit for the starting lineup, but at the beginning of the game and the end of the game, I would want DeJounte Murray out there as a tertiary piece. And let's be real, until we see Julius Randle actually have success in the postseason when teams game plan against him the most, you're not going to want him as the number 2. You want him as your 3rd or 4th option. And DeJounte Murray's, I went over in the last podcast, his numbers, all of his averages either stayed the same or went up when he played in the postseason. That means he rises to the occasion. He doesn't fall down. And I'm a fan of that. That's all I'm looking for. Only finesse MFers are going to leave Clutch in the future. I think guys change agencies all the time. I do feel like Clutch, like I think of it this way, just personally. If I was rep by Rich Paul, right? Which, Paul, look at how great I am, man. I need a new computer. I can make content for you 24/7. Hire me. Duh. No, but seriously, if I was rep by Rich Paul and then I saw that, or the other way, like if I was rep by CAA and not going to the Lakers, it kind of sucks the same way. But if I'm rep by an agent, he's like, you can go to any of these teams except for this one. And maybe I felt like my fit would be either the best there, or it's just like you're taking the option out of my hands. Normal human philosophy and psychology is that you tell a little kid they can't do something, they inherently want to do it. That never really goes away. If someone tells you you can't play for this team, I feel like a little part of me would want to play for that team. Like, just total contrarian, like, anarchy, like, against the man type philosophy, man. You tell me I can't do something, I want to do it. Angelo, would you be okay if we totally sip at the deadline, or do you 100% think we're making a deal? I take that as like 2 separate thoughts. I personally would be okay if we sip at the deadline, because I still don't, like, I personally don't think, even with DeJounte Murray, who I think is the best player we could possibly get during the season this year, I still don't think they would be better than the Celtics. But I think they could still compete with the Sixers and the Bucks. They'd still be underdogs against the Bucks, but the Bucks are as likely to put up 140 on you as they are to give up 160, I guess. I don't know. Their defense is terrible, and they run up and down the court, and Giannis isn't who he was defensively anymore. Brook Lopez is finally getting old. I think the 2nd seed and the number 2 best team would be up for grabs in the East. And then from there, you're just waiting for an injury, right? Like, if Boston lost Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Kristaps Porzingis or Derek White, they're falling down a little bit, right? I mean, it is what it is. Like, they're so starter and top heavy dependent that, yeah, I would want DeJounte Murray. I think that would be the only, and like then the positioning of like what could happen. That's the only way I really think they would be able to potentially make the finals or make a move. I personally am cool staying pat from an old school play the kids philosophy. I love Deuce McBride. I've said this a couple times before. My favorite players are always who is the smallest guard on the team getting minutes. That's almost always my favorite player for the Knicks. Totally narcissistic player one syndrome. I'm 5'8" and played basketball a lot of my life. I just always cheer for small, scrappy dudes. It just is what it is. So Deuce McBride is my current favorite player. He kind of already was last year, but he just didn't play enough. So it was Emmanuel Quickley. But now it's officially Deuce McBride because he's still on the team and Quickley's not, which Tech, Pat Irwin, I'm sorry, man. I'm also sad about Emmanuel Quickley, but I love OG Anunoby, so it is what it is. Actually, I can't say that. Deuce McBride's my second favorite player on the team. OG Anunoby's been my favorite player in the NBA for like 4 years. So he's my current favorite player. But like, so again, to answer your question, I would want the Knicks to make the DeJounte move more so than anything else. I think they'll end up getting either Brogdon or Clarkson. I mean, Sexton sounds cool. Tyus Jones is a decent backup point guard who would definitely be the cheapest out of those 5 players. But I would be cool if they stood pat, but I expect them to do something. Scott Daniels, we have to be doing some move. I saw we just waived Taj, maybe a 2-for-1 deal. First off, I really, really, really hope they bring Taj Gibson back to actually be a coach on the team. Even if they give him a couple months off and he comes back before the playoffs, just to add to the Othello Harrington and helping with the bigs, like that dude has a great mind and play for the game. You know, I just want Taj on a part of the Knicks and with Tibbs somehow, some way. A 1-for-2 deal. So that would indicate that the Knicks are getting rid of a good player or a lot of picks, like maybe Evan Fournier and 4 first-round picks for someone that's really good that's actually making less than Evan Fournier, for 2 guys making less than Evan Fournier. But if you just go to who's on the Knicks roster, I'm not going to go through like everyone else on other teams, but who would they be trading for a 2-for-1 the other way? Like, are they trading Julius Randle for 2 people? That would be shocking. Not saying it's impossible. That would be utterly shocking. Are they getting rid of Mitch's contract because he's hurt and getting 2 people out of this? Like, maybe there's another big in the league that wants to back up Ihart who's more reliable health-wise. I don't know. I really don't know if they're going to do a 1-for-2 deal. I really think they might just like hang on to the extra roster spot and use the 15th man elsewhere. Because all the things that we're thinking of, like when you get a lot of these players, you're almost thinking the other way. Like I would imagine if they wanted Brogdon, it'd be like Fournier and Grimes if you didn't want to give up a pick. Same thing for Clarkson. Maybe you actually get a second rounder back in that scenario. Like a lot of these guys that they're looking at, DeJounte makes even more, $25 million a year. Like a lot of these guys they're looking at are the opposite way. You know, maybe it's DeJounte Murray and Sadiq Bey for Julius Randle. That would be wild. That would be an insane type of trade that I believe that works actually if we wanted to get really crazy. But I personally don't see a lot of 1-for-2s. Like 1-for-2 is usually because like one of your players makes a lot of money that you're shopping. You know, like the highest paid players on the Knicks are Randle and Brunson right now. That's literally it. This thing froze, or else I'd be able to see. Yeah, no one else makes over 20 mil. So like, you're not trading OG. Mitch, you could trade. You can get a 1-for-2 out of. Fournier, you can get 1-for-2 out of. But like, you'd have to give up a lot of picks to rationalize some team taking on him as their only player. That's like a total tanking move by whoever be doing it. I don't know. I just don't really. I don't think they're doing a 1-for-2. Maybe a 2-for-3 that we don't see yet. But it's just crazy. I don't know. Not too sure. Let's go back to Instagram for a little bit. Imagine Deuce being your favorite player. Yeah, Deuce is my favorite player, man. I don't know. Chino Platano. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't cheer for the best of the best, you know? Jalen Brunson's everyone's favorite player. Like Luka Doncic, like Joel Embiid, all that stuff. Why am I going to cheer for the best players? That doesn't relate to me at all. I never played as the best player. I want to cheer for guys who I relate to. And if we get to the Eastern Conference Final, literally anything can happen. A lot of things come into play, injuries, etc. Facts. This is very true. I mean, last year we were making the jokes when we said the original, like maybe the Knicks could be like the 03 Pistons or whatever. Like, I literally was like, yeah, the Knicks could make the finals if Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum and Giannis Antetokounmpo and two other players got hurt. That is, I mean, literally injuries always could play a part, and a lot of things come into play. Just solely from who would the Knicks, if both teams were fully healthy, be favored against? They're not favored against Boston or Milwaukee for sure. Philly is interesting, especially the one time they played, they demolished them, but Joel Embiid also turned his ankle 2 minutes into the game. So, I think Nick Nurse generally has shown recently that he's a better coach and makes more adjustments than Tom Thibodeau. So I would just be worried about that. And speaking to the exact same point, I would always worry about the Miami Heat and Eric Spoelstra and what he can do. And then Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and it's going to be third in Rookie of the Year voting, Jaime Jaquez Jr. They always have dogs on their team. So I don't even think the Knicks would be favored against the Heat in a playoff series because of how much more the Heat have shown in the postseason. So that's 3 to 4 teams immediately the Knicks aren't favored against. That's why I'm not saying you have to wait until you're literally the 1 or 2 seed to make a move, but this was about Taj before. Love the guy, deserves to coach for us. I'm not saying you have to wait for that to make a move, to make the move per se, but DeJounte Murray is the only dude that's even launching them ahead of more teams than they are now currently, in my opinion. What else we got over here? On Instagram, Nicolo Rich Cucci, that's not how you pronounce that. Ricucci. I'm sorry, dude. Why not bring back Alec Burks? Let me know your thoughts on a bench energizer. Alec Burks is cool. He's not been playing nearly as well this year, and I would be worried that if you bring in a guy that Tibbs likes a little too much, he plays him too much, which is always a concern for Tom Thibodeau. He falls in love with people and then plays them a lot, and sometimes plays them a little too long before he actually falls out of love with them. Jam and Jet. We haven't seen Malachi Flynn at backup point yet. I don't think we're going to see Malachi Flynn for a while at backup point. I think they're going to give Deuce a real extended look. I honestly don't think Malachi Flynn's going to get too many minutes. He might get more than Evan Fournier, but it might be a little while. And when he is playing, it's only going to be like 6 to 8 minutes a game. And then I'm assuming Malachi Flynn gets action, barring garbage time, in less than 10 games left this year. If you take out garbage time minutes, he's going to see the floor 10 times or less. I just don't. So you're right. We haven't seen him at backup point yet. I don't know if we're going to see him at backup point at almost any time. What are your thoughts on the team's performance since the OG trade, and what would you like to see going forward on the offensive side? This team is clicking on all cylinders. Love what I've seen since the OG trade. And it really just always made sense it never made sense. Brunson, Randall, and RJ on the floor. It never made sense prior to Brunson being here, Randall and RJ playing on the same team, or them being on the floor together. I kept saying it. They want to get to the same spots. They want to do the same stuff. Why? I get you drafted RJ 3rd overall. You give him an extension because he's doing well enough. I mean, he has promise. He's still 23 years old, 6'6". He's constantly working on a shot. We talked to Drew Hanlon, the whole 9. They just never made sense. And neither one of them, OG Anunoby is a big wing. He's a big defensive, great shooting wing. He's a giant wingspan. His wingspan is longer than Julius Randle. He's almost the same size as Randle. That helps so much. When we had RJ Barrett, and I made it quickly, I don't mean to dismiss quickly in this. Just he played his part so well that he outgrew his part, and he was never going to get the starting point guard part here. So he didn't take an extension. That writing was on the wall. So it's really all about how they got rid of Barrett for OG, most specifically. They just never made sense together. And what OG does, the spacing he provides, OG Anunoby could score 8 points a game and just sit at the corner for most of the game. And the Knicks offense would be better than it was with RJ Barrett in the starting lineup instead of him, solely because of spacing. And you could go through all great teams throughout history, barring a couple of the top when Kevin Durant went to Golden State. Most teams have 2 ball-dominant players and then guys that fall in line from there. And that's how you roster construct. And the Knicks have 2 ball-dominant players. They already had 2 ball-dominant players, and they're the third one on the rise who wasn't efficient without getting the ball in his hands. But he was never as good as the other 2 with the ball in his hands. So therefore, you're third in line, bud. Of course, this team looks better and makes more sense with OG Anunoby. And the thing they sucked at the most, defense, especially since Mitch has been out, and even then a little prior to Mitch going out, Josh Hart doesn't have to cover power forwards anymore for the most part. Julius Randle doesn't have to cover the best 3 or 4, which never should have happened in the first place because of size or whatever the hell Tibbs says when he makes adjustments and why quickly didn't close some games because of length and size and shit. Dante DiVincenzo doesn't have to cover the best perimeter defender. You literally just put OG Anunoby, cover Tyrese Maxey, cover Anthony Edwards, cover Karl Anthony Towns, cover some Joel Embiid. You just put this one guy and then everyone else falls in line. Josh Hart covers the second best perimeter player out there. Dante DiVincenzo gets to work off ball and cover the third best perimeter player out there. Or, I guess usually Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson gets to hide in a corner, just slide in and take charges. It just makes more sense. So I think it's of course they look better with OG Anunoby instead of RJ Barrett. And that's not a knock on RJ Barrett. It just didn't make sense. From the age of 25 to 28, I think RJ has at least one all-star caliber year. Yeah, maybe, potentially. It's definitely the skill set's definitely there in small spurts at least. It's all about consistency with the guy. On Instagram, E Gomez 416. Eventually, we'll have to add scoring to the bench. We would love to see Silky D 15. We'd love to see OG get a little more comfortable on the offensive end. We definitely have to add bench scoring. I said it before. I want either Brogdon or Clarkson from a cheaper way. I would obviously take DeJounte Murray as the person I want the most this year. For OG to get a little more comfortable on the offensive end, he's got to play with the second unit a little bit. And I just want everyone to know this as someone that has watched OG Anunoby a lot. He's not a ball handler. That's just not his game. There is no maybe he could take a leap. Maybe he can get better at post up. He's gotten a little better at post up since last year, but there's no leap to be had. He's not going to turn into Paul George anytime soon, i.e. ever. It just isn't it. He's the second best or best defender in the league. He's phenomenal at catch and shoot threes. He's a great cutter without the ball, and he can dunk every single time RJ got his shit punched at the rim. And that's the difference. And it just all works out and helps out so much, and that's all you can really ask for. I'm going to take a couple more questions and then get off here. We're at 38 minutes. So, Ange, what do the Knicks do with Tibbs when his deal is up, whenever that is? At this point, I think it's next year, and I think they're probably going to extend him, which, Ange, as obviously you are BKE, I would say the commission BKE. I know you love Tibbs, and you've always loved Tibbs, and you're like, he's a dog, and all this stuff, and I've never truly liked Tibbs because I think he calls terrible out of bounds plays, and he kind of clamps up in the postseason and when the game's on the line in more tough situations. And I watch Eric Spoelstra coach, and I'm like, I want that to happen, instead of I watch Tibbs coach, and I'm like, I know what's going to happen. But he has been, much to his credit, and the Knicks front office and franchise detriment, he's been the best coach of this century. So, they're probably going to extend him. What is he going to be, 64 years old when his deal's up? There's a chance that he does the Brad Stevens thing and just when his deal's up, he actually goes to the front office. But, yeah, I don't know. They're probably going to extend him. They're probably give him another 3 more years, and then when he's 68, 69, whatever, maybe he'll retire then or keep going. I could see Tibbs coaching as long as Greg Popovich. He's single. He doesn't have any kids. Never had a wife. He literally eats, sleeps, and breathes basketball. He can stay up till 4 a.m. and just watch film and crush tape. So if he did it till he's 75, God bless him. If he does it till he's 75, then if he does it till he's 75 on the Knicks, that means they won at least one championship at some point. So I think it'll get extended, and then who knows how long then. Jam and Jet, we need to get OG with Hakeem Olajuwon. That sounds like a great idea. I don't know how well that would work out. He's a pretty mechanical dude. I would not say OG Anunoby has feet like a ballerina, like Hakeem did. There's no dream shake in OG's game, but I think OG Anunoby needs to get with like a wide receivers coach. Just make your cutting as smooth and crisp as possible. You're not smooth with the ball in your hands. You don't have the best post game. Just make it so that when you don't have the ball in your hands, they never know your next move. If you could just look like CeeDee Lamb or Wes Welker out there, just do that, And then you don't need the ball most of the time. You're just open. Do the Knicks win a championship in the next 10 years? God, I hope so. If you want me to actually make a call on that. As currently constructed, you're going to hate the answer. No. They don't have Nikola Jokic. They don't have Luka Doncic. They don't have Joel Embiid. They don't have Anthony Edwards. They don't have SGA. They don't have Victor Wembanyama. They don't have any of the players who I would expect to win most of the titles in the next 10 years. And unless they get one of those players, I don't think they're going to win a championship. Sorry. I hate to say that to you. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, let's talk about the games tonight a little bit. So the Knicks play the Portland Trail Blazers, who are actually without quite a few players, including DeAndre Ayton, who has not been dominating this year, which is sad. But what are you going to do when you trade your whole team away when you trade Damian Lillard for a bunch of players? Let's see who's on this roster right now. What am I doing? I'm looking up my phone. I can just do it on this. Let's go to ESPN.com. And Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. Anthony Simons are all playing today. That I do know. Jam and Jet, this is the right comment, by the way. Let's not be sleeping tonight. The Knicks got to stay up. They got to stay motivated. You won 4 in a row. You've had 2 days off. And you got to make sure you do what you do right, Let's see. By the way, I was on SNY earlier today. So if you can find that for SNY and the New York Post Sports with Brandon London. I'm shouting that out I'm not shouting that out for me specifically. I'm shouting that out for the picks I made because when they asked me, the line for the Knicks Portland Trail Blazers game was 11.5, and I said the Knicks are going to cover. It's bumped up to 12.5. And they asked me if it was going to go over under 227, and it's up to 228.5. So I don't know if I have that much pull, but I'm just saying maybe I made the line move in the right direction, or maybe I made the right calls and the line's moving my way. Who knows? Just throwing it out there. Jabari Walker, game time decision. Matisse Thybulle, game time decision. DeAndre Ayton was doubtful last I checked, so I don't know if they have doubtful lists. I'm pretty sure Thybulle was doubtful too. Let's go to wherever the hell they have these rosters. So I'll just say here what I said for SNY. I think Jeremy Grant and Julius Randle are gonna go at each other and try to score 25 to 30 plus points each offensively, and then defensively they're not going to really want to cover each other. Grant's better on the perimeter. Randall's not comfortable with that. Randall's better at bully ball. Grant's pretty strong, but not Randall strong. Not really comfortable with that. So I think they're going to balance each other out. I think Anthony Simons and here we go. I found it. So Ian's out now. Robert Williams out for the season. Walker's still game time decision. Moses Brown, I think, is out. And Matisse Thybulle is also game time decision. So I think what's going to happen is that the Knicks are going to come out fast. Jalen Brunson's going to do what he does, right? Jalen Brunson, first quarters against teams that are bad, either Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle almost always goes off. This might be a Julius Randle first quarter actually against Jeremy Grant. I think they're starting Scoot Henderson now. Actually, look at their last game. They played the Nets in overtime, and I think they actually started Scoot, and they have Shaedon Sharpe coming off the bench, which is an interesting call. I think Shaedon Sharpe's their best long-term player personally, even more so than Scoot, and Anthony Simons is still young, but not as young. Let's go to this box score to go through who played this game. But I personally would put OG on Shaedon Sharpe a lot. Sharpe's long. He's decent at catch and shoot. He's good at getting a shot quick when he's focused. That's who I would have OG cover. I would have DDB just trying to harass Scoot at the beginning of the game. Or no, I would have him harass Simons at the beginning of the game. Simons a better player than Scoot right now. I guess Brunson's going to be covering Scoot, who doesn't have a reliable shot yet at all. He's trying to still get his feet wet. I like how he said he still wants to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, I appreciate the desire and hustle, but you're not going to get there, bud. You wouldn't even be top 5 right now, unfortunately. I never know how to pronounce his name. Kamara. I don't know. But yeah, power forward. He's small. Jeremy Grant, not going to be able to cover OG or Randall. And I also think Grant's going to cover Randall. They're going to have Kamara on OG in the corner. Duop Reith is 6'9" and on the come up, but not 7 foot and not as long as Hartenstein. And he's going to get bullied inside. Him having 13 rebounds in this game actually is probably a testament to how small Nick Claxton is, because Nick Claxton's also 6'9" and way skinnier than Duop Reith. I just think the Knicks are like, Portland's a young coming up team, but like, not only are they young, they're just not that talented top to bottom. Like, the Knicks should, in essence, knock on wood, don't blow it, don't be asleep at the wheel before you play Houston or Orlando or anything. They should just win this game. Did I freeze all together? Oh, there we go. That was dope. If that actually stayed like that and you guys heard me, that was mad funny. They should just win this game. It should be going away. Like, the Trailblazers just beat the Nets in overtime 2 nights ago. And they stayed in New York City for 2 days. Like, they're not going to be awake. They're a young team. They probably all partied last night. The Knicks are all business right now. They got to do what they got to do. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to win the game. Straight up. Any more comments before I go? Here we go. Tomas Reed on Instagram, would you rather add Jesus or Moses to the Knicks roster? That's big, man. I would probably say Moses because you can part the lane so much, right? Obviously, you want to part the Red Sea. You want to part the paint. Just get in there. And then you're open. Jesus' whole thing is he walks on water and turns water into wine. How is that useful for a basketball game? Jesus would be just better at mopping than all the other people would, you know? I think that's it. All right. Yes. So plug the merch. Shop now at bignetenergy.com. It's right there. We're taking sponsorship calls. If you guys, any of you own a business and want to pay to be a sponsor on here. This hat, like I said, this hat and the beanie are my 2 favorite things we have. We also have this big Ragu shirt on top of like 60, 70 other shirts that Vin's made over the years. If you are a fan of RJ Barrett or Emmanuel Quickly, we're probably not going to take that stuff down anytime soon, but make sure you buy it before we do. I have a 6th Manual shirt, and I never wore it. It literally stayed in the bag before because I just got it for Christmas, and I haven't opened them all up yet. And now I'm really sad I'll never even be able to wear it. Or never wear it while he's on the team, I should say. I'll probably wear it at some point, but yeah. BigNickEnergy.com, _ on Twitter. #1 on TikTok, Big Nick Energy _ on Twitter, Big Nick Energy 1 on TikTok, Big Nick Energy on Threads and Instagram. Most importantly, come to our YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Please go to all that stuff. Let's check out real quick before I go, to show you some of the stuff we have. But yes, most importantly, go to YouTube. We already have 2 OG shirts up. I'm going to order an Ananobi Island probably in the next 24 hours. Love this. 1A, Becky Hammond. I mean, you might end up eating your words at the end of this year, woman. I got to tell you. I have this hoodie. It's a fire hoodie. The shirt, the Brunson 3. This shirt is probably the funniest thing we've ever made. The I Survived, Phil Jackson, Bargnani, Fisher, etc. We got a bunch of good stuff on here, though. Definitely check it out, bignickenergy.com. But please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. We're almost at 1,500. We are trying to hit 2K. We're trying to qualify for all the ads and super chat stuff. And then if I do enough and we get enough people on and Mill does enough post games, which she is phenomenal at, she's going to be doing a post game again tonight. I'll be able to buy a better computer and a monitor, and then I won't freeze on here. So thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and let's go Knicks. And remember, Moses would be better at basketball than Jesus. Peace.